Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights? Warning. Each episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or of a sexual nature and are for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off the internet or from some television show. These facts I'm retelling were presented to me by the victims of the crime or the perpetrators who committed the crimes. My descriptions of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own 2 eyes. If you are going to get offended, turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton, and I have with me by cell phone recording this, my co-host, Jim the Hitman Raffman. Jim?
How you doing, Woody? How's everybody doing today?
All right, so y'all, we have been spending so much time on the road and working this and running down leads, etc. I'm not going to have time to edit this out. So you're getting it raw and unscripted, and apologize ahead of time if there's any kind of audio issues or whatever, but we're under time constraints and we just need to get it out. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for the overwhelming support and the response that you've given. And of course, let me digress for a second. This week's episode is part 3 in Who Murdered Courtney Coco. So, y'all have given us a huge response on Facebook and in the crew, and, the new patron members who have access, vandalism tearing up, who have access to the page where we put all the documents such as the autopsy and the lab reports and, crime scene photos and what else, Jim? It's a lot of stuff, right?
There's tons of things we've just been combing through as we've been getting it. Just a lot of information to read, digest, try to connect some dots, put some things together, coordinate some patterns.
Yeah, Jim, I'm talking about what's on the private patron page. We have the crime scene photos, the autopsy report, we have the toxicology reports, both of them. We have photographs of where Courtney's body was dumped and then recovered. One important piece we have on there is the search warrant items that were taken from Courtney Coco's residence by Alexandria PD, and that's going to come up in today's episode. Y'all, there's a plethora of things on there, and if you're not a patron member, it's easy to join up, and you can have access to that. And again, we have strict guidelines and rules about not sharing or commenting on that closed page because of the sensitivity of the material. And we got to respect the family members, etc. And so anyway, I want to thank you all, for your support, whether it's the prayers or the financial support. And, go to our regular crew page, Real Life, Real Crime, Friends, Fans, and Crew, closed Facebook page, and see all the response we're getting about Courtney. And the patron members, you get your own welcome video on there. The people who've sent in the donations, we give you the thanks on there, and we appreciate it. Jim, and what do we want to talk about today? Which really, y'all, we've been working on this, and we have our pecking order of people of interest and people we want to talk to, and we have volumes of information that the family has provided. They've collected over 15 years in an investigation, and but today's episode is not going to be about the actual investigation that we're doing, because we can't get past what was or wasn't done by law enforcement. And everything we tell you today is a fact, or it's a direct quote from someone that's involved. This is not speculation, people. And we're going to put it out there. I believe we're getting a meeting next week with Alexandria Police Department with the heads, and we'll bring that to discuss that more next week. But I want to start with Jim. You read the article. What's the date on that? I know it's 2005.
The article was dated 12/8 of 2005. That's when the air date was.
Okay, so that's like a year and a couple months.
14 months.
Yeah, 14 months past when Courtney was murdered and found in Winnie, Texas. And I just want to start this out, y'all, so you can get an idea of where I'm going, or Jim and I are going, why we're doing today's episode. But go ahead, Jim, and read it.
So I'm going to read it. This is from KBTV4. It is titled Search for Teens Killer Back on Track After TV4 Investigation. The wheels are again rolling in the investigation behind Courtney Coco's murder. The 19-year-old from Alexandria was found dead in an abandoned building in Chambers County, October of last year. An investigation by KBTV4 News Thursday uncovered a breakdown in communication between the Chambers County Sheriff's Office and the Alexandria Police Department. The city where Chambers County deputies determined Courtney died. Because Chambers County deputies determined Coco died in Alexandria and her body dumped in Chambers County, they forwarded the case to Alexandria PD. Alexandria PD says they didn't realize it was their case to investigate. Therefore, the investigation was at a standstill for months. That ended Thursday when KVTV4 News started asking questions. Chambers County Sheriff Joe Larive tells Hometown News things have now been ironed out and Alexandria PD is sending an officer over within the next couple of weeks to make certain the investigation can continue smoothly. Since Courtney's body was found, there have been no arrests in the case.
Okay. And that's it, Jim?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So let me tell y'all what happened. Y'all know that Jim is out of state and he's been doing all the analytical stuff, the document reviews and everything. Jim is strong in areas that I'm weak, and I think maybe vice versa. But I've been boots on the ground for the last 3 weeks in Alexandria, and I was leaving Alexandria last Friday and driving on the way home. I was trying to think, hey, what else can I do? And what is our pecking order going to be? And Jim and I agreed that we needed to go talk to Detective Rabelais, who was the lead investigator on Courtney Coco's case for the sheriff's office in Chambers County, Texas. So I called Miss Ina, Courtney's grandmother, who y'all heard on the podcast last week, and because they said they had a really good relationship with this detective. And I said, Miss Ina, do you think you can call that detective and ask him, can I come talk to him like next Wednesday? And she said, sure, baby, sure. I'll call him. And so she called him, and I'd gotten home and Friday afternoon, and I was going to lay down and take a quick nap. And Miss Ina called me back, and she was extremely upset. I mean, she was very, very mad and crying. And I'm like, Miss Ina, what's wrong? And she said, Woody, David called me back, and that's David Rabelais, the detective. And she said, I called him and he answered, and she said that, said, hey, David, said, we have these guys that are looking into the case now and they want to come talk to you. And he said, Miss Ina, that case is closed. And she said, closed? What do you mean closed? And he said, well, a couple of years ago, 2 detectives from the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office came to my house, because he was already retired, came to my house and talked to me for a few minutes. And I took them and showed them the spot where Courtney's body was recovered. And they told me that they were coming to retest Courtney's spleen section from the autopsy. And he said, okay, and didn't think too much about it. And he said, like 2 weeks later, he got a phone call from them, and they said that Courtney died from an overdose and this case is closed. And Miss Ina lost it. She said, what do you mean they told you it's closed? He said, they told me it's closed, that the case is closed. Courtney's death has been ruled an overdose. Now, it was Detective Isles. I don't know who the other guy was, but that's who went and met with him in Winnie, Texas, and told him they were retesting the spleen, and that's important, and we'll talk about that in a second. They were going to retest the spleen. They didn't elaborate why. But the important part is, he called him, Detective Rabelais, back approximately 2 weeks later and told him the case was closed. It was an overdose. Now, I understand why Miss Ina was upset. She heard the same phone conversation between Detective Isles and Stephanie, the mom, that y'all all heard last week, played on the episode. And the first thing he says when Stephanie asked for a status on the case is, he says,
Oh, it's an open case, and I'm working every lead that comes in and followed up on everything. And I mean, Jim, he even said, that he was going to look at retesting DNA evidence. I mean, Jim, help me here.
Yeah. When you look at all this, when they're talking about retesting the spleen, I mean, I know we're going to get more into it a little bit later on, but we're talking about tissue. And the perseverance of tissue is not the easiest thing to do over all these years. I don't understand why they would do that when you already had an official autopsy that already everything came back negative, and your first thought is to go, well, let's go for another drug test and see if that tells us the information we need, as opposed to, talking to people in question.
Yeah. What I'm talking about specifically is Detective Isles telling retired Detective Rabelais that the case is closed. It's an overdose, yet he told Miss Stephanie on a recorded line numerous times how he's working the case and everything. He didn't say it was closed. And why would you tell the detective the case is closed, that actually worked the case, that the case is closed, it's an overdose, period, end of story. But yet 2 years later, you're still telling the family that you're actively working the case. And you heard it. You heard it right here on Real Life, Real Crime. And that's what he told Stephanie. Go back and listen to last week's episode. And obviously somebody's lying, and it's not Detective Rabelais.
Well, it's definitely not Detective Rabelais, but I think Detective Rabelais was hitting on some things that may have been getting a little close, and they wanted to cut off the ties. They wanted to cut off the communication. Yeah. And that's really the only thing that they're trying to do, is to try to hide from the truth.
Well, let me tell you what happened next. So, Miss Ina, the Detective Rabelais said that I could call him. And so I called him and got his voicemail, and he called me back a little while later. And I told him, I said, hey, they're saying they're actively working this case. And he said, I'm telling you, the man told me it was closed. It was an overdose. And I said, okay. I said, can I come talk to you like on Wednesday? And he said, yeah. So I hung up with him, and about 15 minutes later, I was back on the phone with him. This is Friday evening. And I was like, hey, can I come talk to you tomorrow? I mean, it was eating me up. I just couldn't wait. He said, come on. So I left at like 4:00 in the morning. I drove to Winnie, Texas, and he met me. And he's a fine man, 30 years on the job, when he retired. Long time detective, old school cop, just a straight shooter. And I asked him to tell me again what happened, and he stated that those detectives came over and they talked to him a little bit, and he showed them where Courtney's body was, and they said they were going to retest the spleen. And then they called him back and said the case was closed. It's an overdose. Boom, end of story. And so I asked him, I said, Detective Rabelais, can you tell me, I said, the family said that you said numerous times that you were pretty much just blocked in every direction by Alexandria PD. Like I said, can you tell me what happened? And he said, yeah. He said, the first thing that happened was when we found her body, he said there was a farmer driving down the road, and he happened to look over, and at the time it was an abandoned place. And he looked over and saw the body, and he called it in, and we got there. And she was in advanced decomposition. He said, she was swollen, but she had a class ring on. And he said, we had to cut the ring off of her finger, and on the inside it said her name and of course the high school. And he said, so I called Alexandria PD, and I got Detective Green on the phone. And, I asked him, could he try to verify about Courtney Coco, et cetera. And he said, sure. And he hung up, and he said, call me back within, just like 10 minutes. And he said, yeah, that's going to be her. So evidently that's when Green just called Stephanie and said, basically told her that Courtney's dead in Winnie, Texas, and they're identifying her by her ring. And, he said, I immediately, asked Detective Green, he said, will you please go get a search warrant for Courtney's residence? He said it's probably high probability that the crime had to start somewhere else because this body's been decomposed and it hadn't been here long. And Detective Green said that he would. Now, this is, y'all, when you go get a search warrant, you have to have probable cause, et cetera. And, well, I mean, this is a homicide investigation now, and it doesn't take long. It's a pretty standard deal, and you type it up. You go down, you get a judge to sign it, and then you go out there. But before the judge even signs it, you send a uniform or somebody to secure the outside of the residence, make sure nobody goes in, et cetera, and until you get the warrant signed, right, Jim?
Absolutely. First I'm going to say one thing real quick to cover it up. Some people think I'm an idiot over here. Just since we started, we told you guys from the beginning this is completely unedited. I had a little mishap over here, so when Woody was asking me questions, I was getting about 20 seconds of silence before it. So I came at the tail end, so trying to jump in, I apologize. But I've got that fixed now, so I'm able to hear everything correctly. First, the evidence collection is going to be huge, right? So if you're going to get a search warrant with the probable cause and you're going to go over to the house, you need to secure it right away. Because
even before you get it signed, you have somebody put eyeballs on it. Right.
You get uniform patrol over there, and you get them to block access to and from, rope it off, whatever the case is. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. You have a log of anybody that shows up. Right. Period. And you get that search warrant.
That's right. And the reason you do that, y'all, is you have to think if this is a homicide or it's going to end up in court one day if you don't get a confession. And every second that goes by, the defense attorney can say, well, that's every second that goes by that you don't have the search warrant or the home secured, that's the defense attorney's love, right? And
absolutely. Because they can sit there and say the crime scene's been tampered with.
Absolutely.
Somebody walked through it. You don't know who was in there. Well, how do you know this person was in there?
Hey, y'all. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead, not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner, and we use IXL, and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you are covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
So every second counts. You can't wait on this.
So listen to this. Detective Rabelais says, Detective Green told him, yes, I'll go get the search warrant. And they get off the phone and he said, Woody, he said, how long do you think it took him to get the search warrant? I said, I assume it was quick, right? An hour or so. I mean, I assume they secured the scene. He said it took 3 days before Green went and got a search warrant. Now, I mean, I was blown away. I'm like, he said, don't you know that the devil and everybody else could have gone in and, you know, if I'm a murderer and I know the house hasn't been secured and search warrant hadn't been run, I might go back over there and spend the whole 72 hours cleaning the thing. I mean, scrubbing it from top to bottom. But he said, Woody, it took 3 days. He said, I was furious. And he said, I kept getting the runaround. And finally, they went and executed a search warrant. And so I asked him, what else happened? And I wasn't thinking about the search warrant or return anything at this point, but I asked him what else happened. He said he felt like Detective Green gave him the runaround nonstop. He said he made 4 or 5 trips to Louisiana and that he just got stonewalled. He said he felt like he was lied to. He knows, that he said it got so bad, Jim, and I know I already told you this. He said it got so bad about his 3rd trip up there that he was so pissed off with Detective Green that he went straight to the chief. Now, the chief of the Alexandria Police Department at the time was a guy named Kuti, was his last name. He went in the chief's office and he shut the door and he said, Chief, he said, I don't know how you run your department. I don't know how you run your investigators, but I'm going to tell you something. This is a homicide investigation, and I have been getting the runaround. I've been lied to, and Detective Green has done everything he can to hinder me in this investigation. And he said, I'm going to do what I have to do if I got to go to the state police or whatever, to, sheriff's office to get what I got to get. And he said the chief called Green in and told him, you're going to cooperate with him, give him everything he needs, et cetera, et cetera. And he said after that meeting, the communication got worse. He said Green wouldn't stop returning his phone calls. He said it got to the point where Alexandria PD's crime scene investigator started taking his calls, but he didn't really give him any answers. And then he quit taking his calls. And it got so bad to the point where the Chambers County Sheriff told him and said, look, Rabelais, we can't keep sending you up there. You've been up there like 5 times and we're paying your salary, paying the bill, etc. But every time you go up there, you're not getting any information. They're absolutely, I mean, you're telling me they're not cooperating. They're giving you the runaround. They won't produce any of the witnesses that you want to talk to, etc. And I mean, he said, you have other cases. I mean, if they won't help us, there's nothing that we can do. And so he was really still pissed about it even after all these years.
I think Detective Rabelais did a great job, especially with the information that he had or the lack thereof. I mean, he really created a lot of opportunities. He didn't get any cooperation. And, the difference with homicide investigations and in comparison to other ones is that a homicide investigation, you're going to go wherever the case takes you. So if it takes you coast to coast, you're going coast to coast because it's a homicide. Homicides, you've got to solve the thing, and you can't have so much pride or whatever the case is that you're not willing to have help from others. I mean, you have a seasoned investigator, homicide investigator from Texas who's actively working this, and he can't even get a return phone call. I mean, that's just absolutely terrible. Why would you not want to have the experience, have the additional help, the eyes on all the paperwork, the brain process, the thought process involved in everything? Why would you not want to have that kind of help? The strength can be in numbers, especially when it's taking this long and you're talking about crossing state lines.
Right. But listen, okay. And
Unreal.
I don't want to go too far into our investigation that we've done yet, Jim, but I've got to tell this next piece. It's important. There is a person of interest. We'll call her that, every time Rabelais went over to Alexandria, he had a list of people he wanted to talk to and got the runaround. The detective never could find them, whatever he said. But after the chief's meeting, he finally produced one of the people who was at the domino party at Courtney's house, and it was a female, and he interviewed her, and what she said was they were at the domino party, several of them, and they left or whatever time to go pick up this girl's boyfriend, they being her and Courtney Coco. She said that they rode around and smoked weed and drank a bunch of beer. And the Detective Rabelais said, he set her up and he was like, okay, so I mean, did Courtney smoke just a little bit of weed or was it a lot of weed? And the girl was like, no, she smoked a bunch of weed, a whole bunch of weed. He's like, you talking about like a couple hits off a joint? She said, no, she smoked like a joint and a half herself. Now that's a lot of weed, y'all, especially for a 110-pound girl. And he said that this person of interest said that her and Courtney then went to McDonald's or Sonic, where this person of interest, Jim, what do we want to call this girl so we can quit saying person of interest?
I could pull up a little, we have our own little communication. I would just keep calling it person of interest for now. Hold on.
All right. So this person of interest, they go pick up her boyfriend from McDonald's or Sonic. Rabelais said he couldn't remember which one. And then she said that they went back to the house and played dominoes for a little while later. And then she left, right? And that's it. So Rabelais said when the autopsy report came back and it had no marijuana in Courtney's system and a very trace amount of alcohol, which is important. We'll get to that in a second, that he knew that girl was lying. He said he felt like she was lying to begin with. And this is the only person that Green produced for Rabelais to interview. And she said at the end of that interview, the girl just sat down and was crying. She quit talking to him. So now he knew she was lying. He knew that Courtney had smoked a bunch of weed right before her death and drank a bunch of alcohol, etc. So he called Green back and said, hey, we need to get this girl again. She's lying and we need to break her on it because she damn well knows what happened. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
She knows something.
Yeah. Well, so he said the Green kept saying that he never could find her, et cetera. And then finally Green told him that, he did talk to her and she's not changing her story. And that's it. He said, Woody, I was just furious. He said, I knew I wanted to interview her because I knew, I could break her down because I had already started to break her down in the first interview. Now, why am I telling you this? I asked Rabelais, had he ever seen the phone records that this person of interest made calls at 4:00 in the morning from Courtney's phone. Now, Courtney's last activity on the phone was earlier than that night. And I mean, way earlier, like midnight or before in that time frame. All of a sudden at 4:00 in the morning, there's 3 phone calls to 3 different numbers. And why do you call somebody at 4:00 in the morning like that? One of them, I think 2 of them, she must have got a voicemail because it would show just 1 minute on the cell phone bill. And the other one, they talked for like 3 minutes, Jim, something like that.
Correct. It goes 1 minute, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Okay. So it's 4 calls at 4:00 in the morning. And
Do you want me to give you the times or no?
yeah, you can. Yeah.
So at 4:06 a.m., there was a call for 1 minute. At 4:15 a.m., there was a call for 3 minutes. At 4:19 a.m., there was a call for 1 minute. And then at 4:30, there was a call for 1 minute.
Okay. So here's the deal. This person of interest, this girl that Rabelais wanted to interview the second time because he knew she was lying about the marijuana in Courtney's system, is on Courtney's phone. Now, how do we know that? Because Courtney's family met with Green and turned in her phone to them. And they had already pulled up all the phone records. And when they got to the point where about the 4 phone calls at 4:00 in the morning, Green says, and I read this day before yesterday out of the family's notes from the meeting, Green immediately says, oh no, that's nothing. That was this person of interest dialing wrong phone numbers. Okay. And the family, they're not thinking from an investigative standpoint, right? I mean, but why, and this is speculation, but why, first of all, why do you have the victim's cell phone at 4:00 in the morning if you left her and you're not with her? And secondly, I mean, I don't know. It blows my mind. Why do you have her cell phone and at 4:00 in the morning making phone calls, rapid fire phone calls, and it just blows my mind. But here's the deal. I told Rabelais about it because he had started talking about the girl, the person of interest. And I said, she's the one that made the phone calls at 4:00 in the morning. He said, what phone calls? I said, you don't know about the phone calls. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. I said, you don't know about the phone calls. He said, hell no, I didn't know about them. I said, well, the person of interest made 4 phone calls from Courtney's phone at 4:00 in the morning. He said, damn, don't you know that don't you think that would have been important for Green to tell me about? And I said, well, I guess so. And I said, because it was Green is the one that told him that it was the person of interest who made those phone calls and they were wrong numbers, even though we know the connection was made for at least 3 minutes on one of them. And he was livid.
Rightfully so.
But it gets worse. And I mean, he was like, I don't understand. I knew he was blocking me. I mean, he was mad. And I mean, this guy put his heart and soul in this case. And it dawned on me, I said, we talked for a long time, Detective Raveley and I did. And it came to me, I said, did y'all ever develop DNA profiles off the stuff that they took out of Courtney's residence from the search warrant? He said, what stuff? I said, all the items that they took on the search warrant. I said, the beer cans, the Dr. Pepper cans, the cigarette butts and whatever. He said, Detective Green told me they didn't get anything off the search warrant. I said, what do you mean? He said, Detective Green told me that all the search warrant produced was like one article of clothing they took and there was nothing to be tested off of it. And I said, whoa, Jack. I said, hold on. And I pulled up the list. Jim, do you have that list? That I pulled up the list of items that were listed as being taken from the search warrant. This list was given to the family by Alexandria Police Department from Detective Gray. Right now, you have Rabelais who requested the search warrant. It took him 3 days to get a search warrant. And then when he asked him, what'd you find on the, search warrant? What do you have? What do we have that we can test, et cetera? Detective Green tells him, we don't have anything. We didn't take anything from the residence. He said maybe one item of clothing, but there's nothing to be DNA tested. And in actuality, this is what they took. Go ahead, Jim.
So I have the list, okay? Dated. Do you want me to give the date?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
October 7th of 2004. That's the day of the search warrant. Remember, it's 3 days after the fact before they finally got this warrant. So, items taken: one blue dress, one gray dress, one pair of blue jeans with blue and white cloth belt, one pair of blue jeans with red belt, one bed sheet, one security box, one knife, one cell phone, one black wallet, one set of dominoes, 3 beer cans, 2 paper bags, 1 cup, 1 cigarette box, 5 Dr. Pepper cans, 18 cigarette butts. And that's where it ends.
And that's what Alexandria Police Department took into evidence from.
That's the official log.
That's the official log of the items that they took in evidence. Y'all, when you do a search warrant, you apply it to the court for the search warrant, the judge signs it. Whatever you seize from the residence or the car, whatever it is that you're searching, whatever you seize, you have to do a search warrant return, or it's supposed to be done, and you have to turn that back in. And that lists the items and that were taken. Detective Green told Detective Rabelais they didn't take anything, but maybe an item of clothing, but none. They didn't take any. Not only did not take anything, but there was nothing to be DNA tested. Now, I mean, I know you lifers out there watch all the crime shows, etc. But I mean, I don't know how many cigarette butts, Jim.
18.
And Dr. Pepper cans.
There were 5 Dr. Pepper cans.
Beer cans.
3 beer cans.
Dominoes, y'all, not the dominoes. That not only did they take the dominoes, and what they didn't list on, evidently on that list, is what the family told me. They even had the domino scorecards with the people's name on it that were there. But he lied to him. He lied to Detective Rabelais and told him they didn't have anything. They didn't get anything off the search warrant. Now, this is not speculation, people. This is a fact. And Detective Rabelais said I could quote him on that. Okay. And so I'm quoting it on him, that Detective Green said, no, they didn't get anything off of it, but maybe an article of clothing, certainly nothing that could be DNA tested. They didn't take anything else. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you say about that. I can tell you one thing. Detective Rabelais was livid. And So you have, not only does he not know about the phone calls that the person of interest, he wanted to go back because he knew she was lying about the night Courtney died, about what Courtney had been doing. He requested the search warrant. It took him 3 days to get it. Then after you execute the search warrant, and the family said the crime scene tape was up for like 18 days afterwards. But after you execute the search warrant and you seize all these items from the house, you lie to the lead detective because I asked him, I said, y'all get the DNA off of all that stuff? And he said, what stuff? They didn't get any stuff. And you just heard it right here on Real Life, Real Crime. And so I don't know. I mean, it's something doesn't look good for somebody.
It doesn't look good at all, and I don't know why you would want to go to that extent to not share information. When you execute a search warrant like what he said, you execute it, but you only have a short amount of time to do with that return of search warrant, which goes back to the judge. That validates your search warrant. That's like the proof that this happened and what you were saying was true. And so when you give that list, that's an official document. That's an official document of what was taken from that residence. Why you would not want to share that with the lead investigators, especially one of Detective Rabelais, who has an incredible background, by the way, just a seasoned investigator. Why you wouldn't share that blows my mind.
Yeah. So we're not going to speculate why. I will tell you this. We're supposed to have a meeting. I'm supposed to have a meeting next week with, some officials and I'm going to just be straight up with them, with Alexandria PD and say,
Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it. And it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life.
This is, y'all probably don't know about this. Wasn't your case, etc. But, Courtney's anniversary, her murder anniversary is coming up in like a week and a half, something like that. And, they're having a victims march, next week in Alexandria on Wednesday. And I mean, I'd like to believe that I know there are so many more good cops than bad. And going in and giving these higher ups a heads up on exactly what we're going to do. Cause if we don't get satisfaction, we're going to take it to the media and we're going to blow it up. And we're going to take it to the media in Alexandria, and we're going to take it to the media in Beaumont and Houston area. And if you look on it, Jim, on the bottom of that, article, there's a list of all the other news articles that have been done about that. And this case got pretty extensive coverage, as it should. I mean, a beautiful young girl. Let me tell you this. Detective Rabelais also, the streets talk. He said, he was telling me some different things that he had investigated. Like somebody said that she was at a festival over there and he disproved that. And of course, you always want to start with the family members and, and we'll get more into that next week. It's the same track that Jim and I are going to take, and excluding people. And before we talk to, some people of interest, but the man did his job and he worked it, but he was handcuffed, literally handcuffed and shackled, in my opinion, and by what's happening here. Now you go back to, I know why Detective Isles went to retest what he told Rabelais it was the spleen. But if you heard on the first episode when Jim and I were talking to Stephanie, she said he told her it was vials of blood, and he even gave the different tops, colors on the vials, etc. But whatever. So he told Rabelais it was the spleen. He told the family it was the blood. But I know now, Jim and I know now know why they went to retest the blood that many years later. So, and we'll get into that next week. It's some information that a person who came forward and pretty much told that she said, hey, this is exactly what happened to Courtney, when, where, why, and how. And so that's the reason they went back and tested the blood. And we'll get into that next week. But I just wanted y'all to know the facts. And like I said, these are facts that the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office went and visited Detective Rabelais and then told him they were retesting the spleen, and then called him back a couple of weeks later and said, case is closed. It's an overdose. The case is closed. But you heard last week Detective Isles saying the case is open, working it and et cetera, following all the leads and everything else. I don't get that. Secondly, what we want you to hear, and it's important, there's been a history in this case, as Jim read to you from that news article. Alexandria PD 14 months later is saying, oh, we didn't even know we're supposed to be working this case. Well, come on, man. History in this case of this kind of stuff going on. And then Detective Rabelais not knowing about his person of interest, having Courtney's phone at 4:00 in the morning and making you call somebody at 4:00 in the morning. It's not for a booty call. I mean, that's a little late. I mean, to me, that's a panic. I'm serious. I mean, why would you call somebody multiple numbers at 4:00 in the morning? And don't you, that's right. And don't you think it would be important for law enforcement to go talk to these people that this person of interest called, especially the one that she got through to? And so, and like Rabelais said, I could have done this. If I'd have had that information, I could have done this. And then, it just popped in my head. Ask them about the search warrant. Did they ever get any DNA profiles off all the items taken from the party? Detective Green said they didn't get anything. That's what he told him. And in his official capacity, told the lead homicide investigator for Chambers County Sheriff's Office, we don't have anything. We didn't take anything.
And let's go over that again, too, because no DNA evidence on 18 cigarette butts, beer cans, 5 Dr. Pepper cans, and you've got no DNA.
Wait. What's worse is he didn't even say they took those items. He told Rabelais, we didn't get shit. We did one article of clothing and it can't be DNA tested. I mean, it's your search warrant, detective, and you did the search warrant return and these items are listed. Guess what? Chambers County Sheriff's Office can't do their job. They can't send it to the crime lab, all the items to be tested, if they don't have the items.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what the hell to say, y'all. And I mean, it seems like the more we try to get into the investigation itself, the more this stuff comes up. But we're going to, without saying who it is or whatever, we're supposed to be having a meeting with the top dogs and get to at least give them a shot to try to make something right before we take this information to the media and blow it up, because we're not going away. We're going to work this case.
I mean, hopefully they'll take the opportunity to make something happen for all the wrong that's happened in this particular case. Make some sort of right out of all this.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Woody, you and I have worked a lot of cases over the years and things that we've done, and when you just listen to the constant problems that came about this and the lack of communication and investigating just makes your blood boil. Because I will tell you that the majority of the law enforcement community out there are hardworking, good people that do their jobs because they love their jobs. They love what they're doing. And occasionally you come across some of those that just...
There's good and bad in every profession.
There's good and bad in everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't make it matter if it's a hamburger cook at McDonald's or a neurosurgeon or a police officer. But, and I know, hell, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not bashing law enforcement, but but when you have straight from the horse's mouth that they lied to me, and then, that they called me back and told me it was an overdose, that's the end of the case closed, all these different things. Hey, you know what? Somebody's going to have to answer for it, because this family has been suffering bad. 15 years. And you know what? The response we've gotten on the crew page, with all the people that knew Courtney, and what hit me really hard the other night, I was reading, two of our friends were talking, and one of them said, I can't believe it's been 15 years. And you know what? He said, we've got to grow up. We got to live our lives. And poor Courtney is still stuck at 19 years old. I mean,
yep.
Damn it, man. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm not getting off this case. Jim's not getting off this case. I just got back from Alexandria again. And on it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I'm pulling over on the side of the road because of the new information we got, and then scanning documents and sending it to Jim before I lost cell service. I mean, we're working as people, and it's not going to go away. And I don't care. I don't care what kind of blowback or pushback we get. We're not saying anything that's not true. It would be different if we were sitting here trying to hang out, law enforcement or whatever. We're not doing that. We're simply stating things that are so just mind-boggling that facts, yeah, but they're so mind-boggling to me. I just can't get past it. So hopefully the meeting with officials next week, I feel quite certain that these are good guys and that they're going to demand some kind of answers. And if it does nothing else but move Courtney's case forward, right? Rabelais did tell me that the blood, that was inside the vehicle, Courtney's vehicle, et cetera. He wasn't even sure if they ever got a DNA profile off of that they found it using luminol, but they did get some cigarette butts out of the car, and they got a DNA profile off of that. And we'll go into that later on. That's case stuff, people they interviewed, et cetera. But y'all, it's just a lot to it. And I feel so passionate about it, and spending time with the family members, and Jim talked to them also, and spending this time and listening to the pain, and they bring forward so much information. I'm talking about binders and binders. They have everything, every thought, everything, every law enforcement officer ever told me. It's amazing.
And you know what? Woody and I work great together, because where Woody is extremely strong, he obviously goes out and gets that done, and where I'm extremely strong is going over all that paperwork and connecting dots and trying to find the missing links and where, we need to go look at next. That's something that I'm very strong at. So we kind of balance off very well. But I'm going to tell you, hundreds upon hundreds of documents to go over. That may even be 1,000 pages in that binder. It is just, the family has done a tremendous job, and then the information we've been able to collect since then is amazing. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep working. I'm going to keep combing through all these documents and, giving the information that I'm finding and sending it over to Woody and letting Woody do what Woody does best. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's anybody better out there that can do what he does. We're not going to stop.
Nobody analyzes like you do either, brother, but I appreciate it. But here's the deal. We opened up the hotline this week, and it's on the webpage, y'all. I don't have it in front of me. Call in your tips, your information. Somebody out there knows something, and we have some really good stuff already, but we're investigating. But it's 15 years. People are older. People have family members of their own. But if you have guilty knowledge, ever you think or you heard something, whatever, the streets talk, whatever, call it in, be anonymous. But I'm going to tell you this, we're working on the reward thing, and we probably are going to release that on the anniversary of Courtney's body being found, her murder anniversary, which is about a week and a half. And we're going to put up our own money, and it's going to be significant. And whoever calls in with the information that leads to the arrest and conviction, they're going to get it. But y'all call us. Call that hotline number. You can remain anonymous. If you want to talk to me or Jim and remain anonymous off the record and tell us what you might have heard or whatever, I'm not going to burn you. Just not going to do it. But I'm going to tell you something. Whoever did this, the person or the people who did this, we're coming for you. And we're not going to stop. So You should be scared. Very, very scared. And if you're smart, you go turn yourself in now and try to explain it away as an accident or something like that, because we're coming for you, baby. You better believe it.
I'm going to give the phone number and information.
Go ahead.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
If you want to talk, If you want to call or remain anonymous, that's fine. That phone number is 225-395-1302. Or you can even email us. You can email Woody at realliferealcrime.com, or you can email me, Jim at realliferealcrime.com.
Right.
Appreciate all the help and support, all the wonderful encouragement that we receive from people, the crew members, the lifers. Just keep it going. Let's just keep this going. Somebody out there knows something.
That's right.
Let's just keep it going, because we're not going to stop, and I know you guys won't stop either.
That's
so
right.
Thank you.
That's right. And I got goosebumps. We had over 10,000 shares of one of the posts the other day about Courtney to people that hadn't, people just sharing because they want to help. And y'all are awesome. That's how we're going to do this. And we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. You better turn yourself in. You better come up with a story, because we're coming for you. So anyway, that's hopefully next week we'll be getting into, our pecking order of what we're going to do. Right, Jim?
Absolutely.
Actually,
I got to tell you, man, I love it when you get fired up.
I know, I'm fired up, dude. I got goosebumps, man. I mean, I'm so sick about this. If you had to sit with this beautiful family who love her so much, and I finally got to meet Sissy this week, who was the cousin that they were baptized on the same day, graduated the same day, and I'd met all the aunts and of course the mom and the grandmother. And Sissy, boy, she's a real firecracker. I mean, that family has some mad love, and guess what? They're fired up, and they're not going away either. So, but anyway, y'all, we appreciate you. Love each and every one of you, and y'all please continue to like and share our page. If you can become a patron member, it would be huge. The patron members can't thank you enough. The support, goes a long ways to helping with some of the costs, at least on this investigation. But yeah, leave us a review on iTunes. Subscribe, all that other stuff, all the other podcasts you listen to tell you to do, because I forget. But sorry about the editing and everything else, but it is what it is. And we love y'all, and thanks a lot. And that's it, right, Jim?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I apologize for the beginning part. I had a malfunction on my end that caused me to blank Woody out for about 15 or 20 seconds, and then when I come back on, I'm trying to answer the very tail end of his question. And anyway, I'll fix that. Like we said, it's unedited.
That's it. Unedited, raw, unscripted. And I don't even know how the hell we're finding time to make the recording, but it's important that we do, so y'all can continue to be fired up with us and press this issue forward. So, and we're going to get justice for Courtney. We're going to find out who murdered Courtney Coco. And we appreciate y'all. And until next week or ever, don't let us catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
The investigation into the high school massacre
Parkland High School massacre.
At least 14 dead, 50 injured.
13 people were killed today in a mass shooting that includes a suspected gunman.
Coming soon, Active Shooter, a podcast that studies the psychology, motives, and methods behind some of the most notorious active shooters in North America and beyond.
East Alameda Avenue. They're saying somebody's shooting in the auditorium. 315 and 314.
We will discuss the whys, the hows, and most importantly, the proposed solutions. Can the proper mix of mental health services and gun access put a stop to what has now become an accepted everyday occurrence? Have we become desensitized and accepting of this new phenomenon? Join us as we break down each case and discuss the failures that led to each event and how we can identify and stop them in the future. Join us soon, and please subscribe to Active Shooter.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?